Hey, what's up, Frugal BC here today? We're going to do a reaction video to a video about Hedera called Amazon using Hedera, huge HBAR update. So I haven't watched this video. I just want to see what they have to say here. It is by Ncash Official. Yeah, I just want to take a look at what they're talking about here, and we will check it out.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. And today, we're going to be talking about Hedera and HBAR. So with that being said, let's dive on in. So one of the big things that we were really kind of addressing back in 2021 was the possibility of Amazon using Hedera. When we really look at Hedera today, that idea still remains. We're going to talk about it, we're going to address it, but first and foremost, we're going to also talk about some pretty big updates that have happened around Hedera.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting point. I think that's an interesting prediction, by the way, about Amazon. But just the fact that there are a lot of updates on Hedera is super interesting.
And one thing that I have been putting a spotlight on is the daily updates that we are seeing from the Hedera team. I mean, it's crazy at this point to have this much substance behind something like Hedera and HBAR to not be in the top 10, top 15.
It is crazy, but it's also not, because if you watch crypto, it just doesn't. I mean, look what's pumping right now. Right now, Pepe is pumping, Dogecoin is pumping, Shiba Inu is pumping, and HBAR is doing okay, Algorand's doing okay. It just seems like I've just noticed this pattern where stuff that seems to have the most substance, like HBAR, like Algorand, just doesn't pump the way these meme coins do, or even stuff like Solana that's like obviously flawed. Sam Bankman-Fried, apparently, we just found out today, is still pushing Solana. So, like, I get what he's coming from. Like, it's frustrating. You'd want to see the projects that are actually building real stuff and have real substance behind them actually be the ones that are pumping, but it just doesn't seem to work that way in crypto for whatever reason.
This is the number one reason why I keep saying, like, if you are holding HBAR, if you are an HBAR holder, focus on the substance behind the hype. There is far too many projects in this space that have all this hype and nothing to show for it. I'm not going to name names, but there's a significant project in the top 10 that was a massive winner during 2020 into 2021 that people still talk about every single day, and they were calling it the Ethereum competitor back in 2021, and there's not a lot of substance behind it. In fact, a lot of the things that this project was supposedly doing, Hedera is actually doing. It's just kind of comical. And by the way, the founder of this project was also down talking Hedera before eventually, and it happened just in the last couple months, talking about how Hedera has now changed the game. So you can.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if he was talking about Solana. You could probably almost say the same thing about. Well, Polygon hasn't really. Was Polygon a big winner? I think I'm pretty sure he's talking about Solana. But why not just name names? What's the point of not naming a name? Just talk about it. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I mean, again, it's just what the top 10 coins. I mean, look, Ethereum is always number two, mostly because it's an early mover and it has a huge network effect. But there's so many other chains that are coming out that are superior to Ethereum. They just operate faster. They require less, less time. They're faster, cheaper. The gas fees, I mean, on Ethereum are just crazy, and it doesn't seem like they're going to get that stuff fixed anytime soon. So, I mean, like I said, it all comes back to, like, I do think that stuff like HBAR is going to do well in the long run. I think Algorand's going to do well in the long run because they're providing uses. They're actually providing solutions to the world. This one that he's talking about, this is something that I talked about, the fact that they're joining with Neo Tokyo Code and Dropper, making one of the largest cohort of game developers in AAA games. So we talked about this in my news last time, which is the one he's talking about here. But yeah, I think big time. And we might not go through this whole video, but I think it's something to keep in mind. It's like there's a difference between price action and the usability of a coin. Should it be that way? No, of course not. It's ridiculous. I mean, he says it too. It's crazy. But for whatever, like I said, for whatever reason, crypto does not work that way. So I try to invest in projects that I think are going to be good long term, but I also, like, I've learned not to be above, you know, investing into some of these ridiculous coins, because for whatever reason they just go crazy, and you might as well have a little bit of exposure to it, while also supporting these other projects. But the other part of it is, like, you can actually use this stuff for things, especially like Algorand. I have, real estate that I've contract through Algorand, DeFi on both Algorand and HBAR. and you can do it without paying a ton in fees, and it operates pretty smoothly. So let's keep going.
Kind of see how things are headed. But regardless of that, we are starting to see a lot of updates from the Hedera team that are ultimately creating value and volume for Hedera, and in my opinion, will bring a ton of users to Hedera as well. So let's dive on in. Let's talk about it. So number one, we're excited to announce that we've joined forces with Dropper_IO and Neo Tokyo Code, the Web3 industry's largest cohort of gaming founders and investors, to further drive AAA GameFi development on Hedera. Now, this is something that I've actually been focused on, right? Is gaming within the Web3 world. It's been trash. If I'm completely being honest with you guys, I think every single gaming project in this space that has a game tied to it, most of them, a very large percentage of them, are overvalued. Why?
Before he continues, I absolutely 1,000% agree with that. The one of the few ones that is my sponsor. One of my sponsors is Fractal Monsters. They've been doing it the right way, I think. But so many of them, I was huge into Townstar, and then Gala Games has just been a disaster. So many of them have. There's a lot of promise in Web3 gaming. Unfortunately, it's always taken in the wrong way. It's always done the wrong way. What you see instead is like it kind of turns into this huge grift where these game companies sell you a bunch of NFTs up front with the promise that they're going to be super valuable when the game explodes, and then you get like basically an endless beta testing phase. As far as I know, Townstar is still in beta. It was for a very long time. Years and years it's existed in beta, and a lot of Gala games exist in beta because it's why bother finishing the game? You get people buying all these NFTs. So 100% agree with what he's saying there.
Because it looks as though a child is making these games. They are terrible in terms of the quality. But this is something that I'm actually very excited about because a lot of the games tied to this name are actually pretty high quality. And the artwork behind them is also very high quality. So I'm very excited for this. And by the way, Hedera is not shy to the gaming world. They have a lot of partnerships with some very large players out there, and I'm very excited for gaming on Hedera as well. And I think that this is another great narrative to focus on as we do kind of inch closer to alt season, because we've been talking about AI, we've been talking about real world asset tokenization, and all of those are great, especially even DeepIn, but GameFi is one where the retail sector really loves. Right? Like that's the big focus from the retail side is, retail driven use cases that they could actually tap into and just really kind of eat up. And GameFi is definitely one. But regardless, we have through this collaboration, Dropper plans to bring AAA quality games, millions of supporters, and new liquidity to the Hedera ecosystem via one, a Web3 gaming infrastructure that simplifies back-end technical requirements, two, access to new streams of non-dilutionary funding, and also three, support from Neo Tokyo Code and the HBAR Foundation. So this is great, and I'm sure that a lot of those HBAR holders out there that are watching closely are very excited about number two because we are tired of dilution of the token for funding. We are done with it. We are over it. And ultimately speaking, I think that I speak for everyone when I say we've been kind of pissed off about the dilution, but we really just want to see the 50 billion HBAR be fully released and already out there so that we never have to worry about these token unlocks ever again. And the faster that we get to that point, the better. So I'm actually very excited about that 4 billion, HBAR token unlock. The problem is that it's not going to get unlocked all at once. It's going to happen over time. So we're not actually seeing the dilution of HBAR all in one go. It's going to happen over time, and the inflation on it's actually going to drop significantly. So if you are an HBAR holder, that actually should excite you because we don't want to see that dilution at this point in time in the market because we actually want to let HBAR breathe fully and really start to see it rise. But regardless of that, we also saw a pretty big update as well from Hedera, which was a new GC member, and that was actually BitGo. So
Yeah, we actually I believe we covered this one too in our last Hedera update. But yeah, they've been adding a lot of governing council members, which is really cool.
We're excited to announce that leading digital asset trust and security company BitGo has joined the Hedera Council, bringing with it over a decade of experience in Web3 to support innovations and invest in the future success of the Hedera network. With over 1,500 institutional clients globally across 50 nations, BitGo's customers include Fortune 100 brands, over 200 crypto exchanges, governments, hedge funds, asset managers, venture capital firms, market makers, pension funds, and ultra-high net worth individuals. We see significant future product opportunities in the context of real-world asset tokenization, settlement, and payment verticals with Hedera. This is a huge move for Hedera. We have down here at the end, we look forward to seeing how this new partnership with BitGo brings value to the Hedera ecosystem and Web3 as a whole through our collaborative and continued effort to deliver real world value to users, enterprises, and institutions using DLT. And
yeah, this is one of the things I think is really, really great. the governing council member. Now, some people complain that this is a little too decentralized or too centralized, but I think it says something about Hedera that all these major tech companies are willing to get on board with Hedera and run nodes for it, which is it's pretty amazing. I mean, you got Google, you got LG, you got IBM, now you got BitGo, you got Dell. I mean, I think Dell isn't running a node. I could be wrong about that. I'd have to double check. But yeah, I think this is really amazing, and they keep adding these governing council members, and you're just not seeing this level of buy-in on other tokens. This is why I really like Hedera, and it's just they see something in it that they really, really like, as opposed to I think a lot of the other chains. Algorand gets mentioned a lot too. You know, this is why I like both of these. Algorand and Hedera, my two favorites in terms of technology and use case. Not necessarily price action, but you know, like if we already talked about that.
I feel as though Hedera has always been looked at as the enterprise star child, but I really think that Hedera is starting to lead the path in terms of institutional focus as well. So I'm very excited about this. Listen, we have been addressing Hedera for a very, very long time on the channel. It's been over 3 years of videos talking about Hedera, talking about what HBAR could possibly become. And I feel as though now, more than ever before, all of that is coming true. We're starting to see HBAR lead the way, and I'm very excited about that. But now, let's talk about something very interesting, and that is Amazon using Hedera. Will they do that? Well, let's talk about it. So Neuron World, guys, this is my favorite use case on Hedera. Why? Because everyone's so excited about the 40 billion transactions that have happened on Hedera, right? Yeah, I think that Neuron could hit that day one on launch. Things are still in process, right? But this is a project that, in my opinion, could ultimately bring trillions of transactions to Hedera. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but over time, I really think that Neuron is going to be one of the biggest projects on Hedera. We have thrilled to announce a recent contract award from Milton Keynes City Council to extend Neuron flight tracking sensor network across their city into some drone-in-a-box systems and into their smart city labs as well. The council and smart city lab were also very excited about exploring other use cases in the kickoff meeting yesterday.
How about we go, let's go actually just read it directly. So Neuron is enabling autonomy in aviation. 2.7 billion drone flights, 1.2 million sensors required. Hedera improves the provenance of data for Neuron. This increases accountability for safer aviation while allowing operators to resolve liability issues and helping regulators make better policy decisions. So I think this is where he's probably going with it, that this is going to be well, it might not even be Amazon using it, but it could be that the fact that Amazon is using the drones that Neuron provides data for or operates. This is really interesting. They have like last mile delivery, drone surveillance network, flight tracking. Really, this is really interesting stuff. So I think this is where he's going. So I don't want to spoil his whole video. I think he's got some really interesting stuff there, and you should go watch the whole video. I will link it in the description below. So be sure to check that out. But always interesting to look at what other people are saying about Hedera, about Algorand, about some of the other coins that I follow, and kind of give my little 2 cents. I think overall it's pretty good video, and I think he shares some of the frustrations I do about when it comes to Hedera and Algorand and how they just tend to get overlooked by retail, by the market. Fortunately, you know, we're seeing the prices of both go up. I'm sure that we'll have a nice bull run. Probably not as nice as some of the other coins, but I've got some money in those too. I got my money in the ones that are just going to take off for the sake of taking off, and then I've got a lot of Algorand. Algorand's kind of like the one I build on, as well as Hedera, starting to add more DeFi to that too. In fact, I think might take a look at adding some more this week. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like more, I do regular Hedera updates now, as well as Algorand, and check that out in the link below, or hit the subscribe button. As I always say, you don't have to smash it. You can just press it gently. And otherwise, I'm Frugal BC, and I will see you in the future.